My name is Matthew Cole, and until that afternoon, I thought my marriage was built on laughter. My wife, Sophie, had always been the funny one, quick with comebacks, the life of every gathering. I used to love that about her. But somewhere along the line, her jokes started landing closer to insults, and I couldn't tell if she was teasing me or testing me. It all came to a head one sunny Saturday when our neighbors, the Parkers, invited us over for a backyard barbecue. They were good people, kind, down to earth, the sort who made everyone feel welcome. Sophie and I had been arguing that morning about something small, probably dishes or bills, and I was just grateful to get out of the house. When we arrived, the smell of grilled food and laughter filled the air. Everyone was chatting in small groups, kids running around with water balloons, music playing softly in the background. I tried to relax, grab a drink, and join a few conversations. For a while, it worked. But then, as the group gathered around the picnic table, someone asked Sophie how long we'd been married. She smiled, looked at me, and said with a smirk, 6 years, though sometimes it feels like 60. If anyone wants to trade husbands, I'm open to offers. The crowd laughed politely, but I felt my stomach drop. I forced a smile, but inside I was burning, not with anger, but with embarrassment. It wasn't the first time she'd made that kind of joke, but doing it in front of neighbors was different. It wasn't funny anymore. I looked away, pretending to focus on the grill, just to escape the eyes flicking between us. But then came the moment that changed everything. Mr. Parker, our next-door neighbor, a retired teacher in his 60s known for his calm wisdom, looked at Sophie thoughtfully and said, "Careful, Sophie. A good man's hard to find, and an easy joke can make him harder to keep." The laughter died instantly. Everyone went quiet. Sophie's smirk froze, and a faint blush crept up her cheeks. For once, she didn't have a clever comeback. Mr. Parker wasn't cruel. His tone was calm, almost fatherly, but the weight of his words hung in the air like thunder after lightning. I didn't say a word. I just stood there, staring at the ground, unsure whether to feel vindicated or humiliated. Sophie changed the subject quickly, trying to move the conversation along, but the energy had shifted. People started drifting away, pretending nothing had happened. When we got home later, the silence in the car was deafening. Finally, she muttered, "You didn't have to look so miserable back there. It was just a joke." I turned to her. "A joke about trading me in for someone better?" She rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. Everyone knew I didn't mean it." "I didn't," I said quietly. That shut her up for the rest of the drive. That night, I sat on the porch alone, replaying everything in my mind. Mr. Parker's words echoed in my head. An easy joke can make him harder to keep. He wasn't just talking about me. He was warning her, maybe even both of us. For years, I'd let those small jabs slide. The "you never do anything right" jokes, the "you should learn from other husbands" quips, all brushed off as humor. But they weren't harmless. They chipped away at something sacred, respect. The next morning, Sophie came out to the porch, holding 2 mugs of coffee. She sat beside me quietly for a moment before saying, "I think I embarrassed you yesterday." I didn't answer. She took a deep breath. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize how those jokes were coming across." I looked at her. "Sophie, you didn't just embarrass me. You made me feel small. Like a punchline." She stared at her coffee, her voice trembling slightly. "I never wanted that. I thought being funny made things lighter." "There's a difference," I said softly, "between laughter that brings people together and laughter that makes someone feel alone." She nodded, tears welling up. "You're right," she whispered. "I guess I forgot how to be kind." That was the first real apology I'd heard from her in a long time. 4 days after, things were quiet, not in a cold way, but in a reflective one. She started changing in small ways. No more sarcastic digs, no more jokes at my expense. Instead, she'd touch my hand, ask about my day, or laugh with me instead of at me. One evening, about a week later, we saw Mr. Parker watering his garden next door. Sophie walked up to him and said, "I wanted to thank you for what you said the other day." He looked surprised but smiled kindly. "I didn't mean to embarrass you," he said. "Just wanted to remind you that words can either build a bridge or burn one." She nodded. "You reminded me of something I forgot." When she came back to me, I could tell she meant it. Months passed, and things between us slowly mended. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest again. Sometimes at gatherings, Sophie would tell stories that still made people laugh, but now, her jokes were kind, her humor gentle. Once, at a dinner with friends, someone teased her about our marriage, and she smiled, squeezing my hand. "No trades," she said. "I found the one worth keeping." Later that night, as we drove home, I couldn't help but smile. Not because everything was magically fixed, but because we'd both learned something vital, that respect is the quiet foundation of love, and it crumbles faster than you realize when you start using laughter as a weapon. Now, every time I think about that afternoon barbecue, I don't feel angry or embarrassed anymore. I feel grateful that someone had the courage to speak a truth we both needed to hear. Because when my wife joked about trading me for a better husband, it wasn't my reply that mattered. It was the neighbors, the one that finally silenced the laughter long enough for both of us to start listening.